Greetings, programs. Welcome to the grid. I am Sark, Lord of the Games, and today's game is Hotkeys and User Experience in 3D Studio Max 2020. We're going to start by talking about your mouse. People have strong opinions about mice. If you really like or really hate something about a certain mouse, that's good. That means that you have started to figure out what works best for you. I'm going to share what I use and why I have it set up the way I do, and then maybe that'll help you inform your decision if you're trying to figure out how to set up your mouse and keyboard. In Windows, in the control panel, I set my mouse pointer to the fastest speed it will go. Right? And you might say, well, that's really reckless, Sark. How do you even hit the target? And that's true. That would be a really horrible way to do things when you're doing fine, precise, detailed artwork, except for this beautiful tool that Windows provides. Microsoft did something right. They buried it in this menu, but here it is. Enhance Pointer Precision. You turn that on, and now I have no trouble getting wherever I want to go and stopping. I almost never overshoot, or if I do overshoot, it's very easy to come back because Windows can detect me decelerating the mouse and say, oh, he wants it to slow down. So it'll actually dynamically adjust your polling rate. Now, some people don't like this. People involved in competitive gaming may not prefer it because they've already gotten used to certain speeds. But for me, the dynamic polling rate is understandable, and it helps me get as fast as I want to get to wherever on the screen I want to go with minimal effort. And that's really the key, minimal effort. And then it lets me slow down, again, with minimal effort. And that means that, my time, perhaps hours on end, animating something or working on some project, and God knows you're supposed to take breaks, but you don't, reduces the chance, or at least the severity, of repeated strain injury. Repeated strain injury is a real thing. I had to take a break from using my pinky finger on the control key for a long time. I've now got a keyboard that's made that a little easier. So that's that. Now, as for hardware, I'm using an old gaming mouse called the Logitech G500. This is what mine looks like. And I like some things about it. First of all, it's got manual buttons right on it, right next to the index finger for controlling the DPI. So if I don't like that, like a dummy head, I set my Windows polling rate super high, and now I can't snipe or I can't pick off that exact piece of that object. No problem. I'll just turn it down for a little bit, and now I'm as slow as molasses, and I've got a paddle to get all the way across the screen. So that's a quick fix right on my hardware. If ever I regret my choices. Next bit is, it doesn't have like a million buttons here. A lot of modern gaming mice are designed for like MMOs or multiplayer battle arenas, and those things have like a frickin' numpad right on your thumb. And I don't need that. Three buttons is good. It's got a forward button, a back button, and this other button that's undesignated, which I just hook it up to my push-to-talk key. So that makes my life easy if I'm playing a game or if I'm working on something and I want to answer somebody's question. No problem. I don't even have to slow down. Don't have to move my other hand, none of that. And what else? I like the size of this one, so it just happens to be for my hand. It's not quite a claw grip. It's almost a claw grip. And that means that my thumb goes on the left side, obviously. My index finger goes on the right side. My pinky hangs off, which is maybe not the world's most comfortable thing, but I'm used to it. And it doesn't quite, like I could put my whole hand on it and palm it, but I don't, right? I just let the back of the mouse bump into my palm a little bit. So if I need to palm it, I can. But most of the time, I'm really just using my thumb and my ring finger to adjust its location, and that means that I can get very, very precise movements out of it, even though it's very, very fast. Right? So, there's my mouse. let's go back to 3ds Max and talk about some of the ways that 3ds Max expects you to use your mouse. By the way, my scroll wheel's broken. I need to buy a new one. I've been looking at these. I don't know if they've really got one like this on the market anymore for less than like some gouging price on eBay. Like I paid half this for this mouse 12 years ago. Why will somebody not sell me a replacement at least the same price? But you know, maybe I can find sort of a new version of it that is identical. This one, I don't trust this. That does not look the same. That looks like it's going to be either bulkier or not as heavy or too heavy. I don't know if it has the adjustable weights. This came with adjustable weights, right? So that's also nice. If I'm working a long time, I can pull those out and it's like I get a second win. That's pretty good too. It makes again, the acceleration and deceleration is more deliberate, and I like that when I'm doing artwork. So, zooming. I can't zoom. Oh no, this is terrible. All right, you could reach down here and get the zoom key, or the zoom tool. That's awful. I hate using that, so I'm going to have to get this mouse replaced. But the scroll wheel should zoom for the rest of you. If you have a broken zoom, then I empathize. I share your pain. So there's our pan. That's middle click and drag. Right? And you can see on the OBS that I'm just clicking down on the scroll wheel and then moving the mouse. Zoom is the scroll wheel if you have it. And then if you hold the Alt key and you middle click and drag, you can rotate. So you don't have to reach up here for this box. A lot of time that box is way out of your way. No need to go and reach up for that. Okay. You can just hold the Alt key, middle click, and drag. In fact, most of the time I just turn this thing off. There it is. Good riddance. Don't need it. All right. Let's talk about your transform tools. So you have move, rotate, and scale. Those are W, E, and R, respectively. So move, unsurprisingly, allows you to move an object. Right? Zoom out a little more here. I can move this light, so to change the dynamic of the scene a little bit. All right. Depending on where I put it. That's the move tool. Rotate. You just click and drag on one of these circles and you can control the axis you're rotating on it. Alternately, you can rotate here, but this is relative to the camera. So that's not going to be as clean a rotation, depending on what you're trying to do. Right? Then you have R, and that's scale. Now you're going to be tricky with R because if you're just rotating through these selection modes, R only, if you hit it twice, now it is not uniform scale, it's non-uniform scale. And if you hit again, it is, what was it? Select and squash. So here's the squash. Yeah, that's kind of weird. Here's the uniform scale, and here's the non-uniform scale. So they all kind of do different things depending on which axes you have selected. You just want to make sure that you haven't hit R a couple times in a row and cycled through these different selection modes. You want to make sure it's on the default one because that's the one people are using most of the time. If you're trying to follow a video tutorial and somebody's using a different kind of scale, they'll probably call it out. Q is a similar thing, right? You've got your basic selection. Maybe sometimes I want to select things without bumping them around, without accidentally rotating or scaling something. So I want Q. But if I hit Q multiple times in a row, I get these different selection modes. So I hit it twice, and now I've got this circle selection. Ah, God, how did I do that? How do I get my normal selection back? Well, you just come up here and switch it back to a square. So now you got your rectangular marquee that you're used to, right? There are some other selection modes, but we're going to stick with that for now. W, E, and R, move, rotate, and scale. Q is a basic select tool. Watch out for spacebar. Spacebar is a selection lock. You can see this yellow lock show up, and you get frustrated because you can't click on anything. Why can't I select that light? Why can't I deselect this object? Well, it's because you've locked your selection. For some reason, in 3ds Max, that's the spacebar. I'm going to hit it again, and now I can deselect things. Okay. To copy an object, you get the move tool, you hold the shift key, and you move. That's it. It leaves a copy behind. No big deal. You can make multiple copies that way, right? I could say, I want like 3 of these, and there we go, right? A lot of times I see people hit Control C because they expect that to work like normal, and you would, right? Like, but it doesn't. It actually makes a camera, and you know, maybe you want a camera, maybe you don't, but probably you were trying to copy something. So that's that. What else? You want to make sure that you're in the right viewport, right? So you can right-click on these viewports and select them. You can also hit Alt-W to maximize any viewport. Okay. In the perspective view, which is this bottom right one, it's usually the default view. It's where I do most of my work. You can rotate around. You can see the object shaded. F3 swaps your shading to a wireframe. The other viewports are wireframe by default. So with those ones, I tend not to want to rotate. I want to leave those. This is called an orthographic point of view. And if you rotate these, things get pretty weird pretty fast. You probably, it could be a bit disorienting. So I leave these two-dimensional for most of the time. Or if I am going to rotate them, I just flip them to perspective because I don't want to deal with the orthographic view. Orthographic view is great if you're doing like architectural work or something, but yeah, I think that as long as it's going to be orthographic, it might as well be a two-dimensional view, and then that reduces any confusion. So for today, I think that's it. Oh, there's a right-click menu in 3ds Max. We didn't talk about that. So when you right-click, we were wondering why can't you just right-click to rotate? Why don't you middle-click? Well, it's because we're saving right-click for something really, really useful, and this is the context-sensitive menu. And that means all the tools I just showed you are here. Here's the move tool, here's the rotate tool, here's the scale tool, here's the select tool. And then if I were to, like, I don't know, convert this to editable poly or something, and be working in polygon mode, now my menu shows all these tools for working on polygons that weren't there before because I didn't have any polygons selected. Or if I've selected vertices, now my menu shows tools for working on vertices, and I can extrude these or something. So these are context-sensitive menus, this right-click menu. And all the transform tools are usually going to be in the bottom right. All the display-related tools, like hiding things or selecting things, are going to be on the top right. And the context-sensitive tools are on the left-hand side. So this is really, really great feature of 3ds Max. It's probably why I recommend it over other 3D software for beginners. Because if you forget any of the stuff I just told you, you can always right-click and just look for the name of the thing that you think you want to try and do. And most of the time, it's going to be the thing you wanted. All right, I want to move that vertex. Moved. So. All right, that's it.